All right, back with another tier rankings, divisional round here, coming at you on Tuesday instead of Monday because I had to wait for all of the games to finish. Usually I record them before the Monday game, but I figured playoffs, got to make sure we get all 8 teams in here, so decided to wait an extra day. I will be back on Monday next week, though, to do my conference championship tier rankings, which will really be more of a power rankings at that point. But yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with the Super Bowl favorites, who I still have to put the 2-1 seeds. Now, I saw some people in the comments last week. There were really, I think, 2 main criticisms I got. One was that I was too high on the Steelers, not putting them in the bottom tier. You were right. My bad on that one. The other one was the Chiefs being Super Bowl favorites, which I was surprised by. Now, a lot of people don't like the Chiefs. I get it. I think this team's really good, and they're getting healthy at the right time. I still think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, as do I think most people. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are a very talented team. I do think the rest could hurt them a bit. Having 25 days off, that's a lot of days off. It is, and you can practice as much as you want. There is a difference being in an actual football game, and we have seen, how many times did Peyton Manning and his team rest for the last couple weeks of the season and then get smoked in the divisional round? It can happen. So they're still really good though. I think they belong in this tier at the very least until they lose. The Detroit Lions are another team that, again, they were the 1 seed. They're really good. I almost wonder if you sort of retroactively feel worse about them, though, because, I was so impressed with how they played against the Vikings, and now we just saw the Rams did the same thing. So, listen, I don't know if part of it is I think the Rams did some same schematic stuff that the Lions did. They kind of took that game plan and used it. But it does make you wonder a little bit of, are the Vikings maybe just not as good as I thought they were? I had them in a high tier last week. I don't know. But either way, those 2 teams deserve to be Super Bowl favorites, and they are, favorites to win the games they are currently playing. Next tier is the AFC number 1 contenders. I think that these 2 teams belong in the next tier, which is the Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. It does feel like a number 1 contender match between those 2, right? I really, winner gets to take on the Chiefs, although, again, the Chiefs have to get there. No guarantee, given how playoffs work. But, yeah, both teams had really impressive wins, I thought. I thought Denver was going to make that a game against Buffalo, and they really I don't want to say really didn't. Midway through the third quarter, it was still a 1-score game, but then they really didn't. Then Buffalo was able to just take off. Their defense played great, and that's what you want to see. As a Bills fan, Josh Allen can take over. You want to see them be able to win in other ways, because you might need other players to contribute against Baltimore, against Kansas City, and against Detroit if those are the teams you end up playing. So you need other players to contribute, and they were able to. And also that Josh Allen guy is really good. For the Ravens, it very much is sort of the 2-headed sledgehammer of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, which is just so difficult to stop. That's the thing. We can all sit here and say, well, the Bills need other players than Josh Allen to step up. The Ravens need other players than Lamar and Derrick Henry to step up. But do they do? Because those guys are all so good. The Ravens do have other players stepping up as well, though. This defense has completely turned around since they had their bye week. They shifted some defensive players around. They've gone from one of the worst defenses in terms of EPA to first in EPA since they made the shift, since their bye week 11, was it? I forget. But week 10, somewhere around there. So these are 2 good teams. I think that they are probably the biggest threats to win the Super Bowl that aren't 1 seeds at this point, and they're playing each other this week, so that's fun. Next team I am going to put in is the NFC number 1 contender. If you notice, that is singular, not plural. I do have the Philadelphia Eagles as the number 1 contender in the NFC. No getting around it, they did not have the most impressive win last week. Hey, their defense was impressive. Their defense looked awesome, but the offense was not super impressive. And if you're going to, kind of like what we're talking about with the Bills and Ravens, if you're going to win in the playoffs and have a deep run, you're going to have to, have some good quarterback play, essentially. And you're going to have to get contributions everywhere. we've seen Jalen Hurts play much better. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts stinks, because like we have seen him play much better this season. I thought he had a really good stretch of the year before getting injured. So you need to get that Jalen Hurts back if you're going to go on a deep run. Then the nice thing I would say is that the other teams that you were looking at on paper as maybe the biggest threats to beat you got eliminated. The Vikings got eliminated. But at the same time, like, look at how good the Rams look. Not going to be an easy matchup. So yeah, I think because of their more underwhelming victory, I can't put them as high as the Bills and the Ravens right now. But luckily, they don't have to worry about those teams, and they get to play a team that I still have below them in the rankings. But we'll get into it. The next three teams that I have, there are three teams left. There's one bottom tier, kind of spoiling it here. Sorry, but there's only 8 teams. Going to kind of give some stuff away with how I named the tiers. This is the you're good, but I still have questions tier. First, Houston, who I have to give like an apology, like I wasn't familiar with your game type of thing here, because, yeah, I mean, they were really good last week. I had them as the lone team in the, I think, I'm not convinced tier, which was the bottom tier last week, because their offense had played really horrible down the stretch, and I think it was fair to have questions about that. I did say in my preview against the Chargers they had a chance because of how good their defense was, but I never saw that coming. So really impressive win. So you're good, but I still have questions. I think they could upset the Chiefs if the Chiefs get off to a slow start because of, the fact that they're all rusty. This defense is a legitimate, this is a very good defense. So, yeah, I think that's what I like. The questions I have is, C.J. Stroud's good, but he has been inconsistent this year. The offensive line is not very good, and they really only have one weapon right now with Nico Collins. That's not true. They have a couple contributors, but they don't have a ton else outside of Nico Collins. Nico Collins is great. I mean, Nico Collins can get some stuff done, but I just have some questions. They're a good team. There's only 8 teams left. Everyone here could go on a run and win the Super Bowl at this point, but that's my thought there. The Washington football team is the logo. If they win the Super Bowl, I have to at least change my tier rankings next year to have them be the Commanders instead of the Washington football team. They're into you're good, but I still have questions. Essentially, I mean, it's obvious. Their defense, even in this game, did not play great. I know it was a low-scoring game and not a ton of yards, but there was such little possessions that was actually an offensive game, just with long drives, essentially. I do have questions about this defense and can it hold up, but Jaden Daniels is great. I mean, I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC. He's such a good player. I don't know. And there's a lot of other talent on the offense as well. And give a credit to Dan Quinn for doing some nice things. So still have some questions, but yeah, they're a very good team. And then the Rams, who I also have to put into you're good, but I still have questions, just because, they were so good that final game, that playoff game, but, I still have questions about the secondary. It was great against the Vikings, but I want to see it be great again, essentially. How much of that was just the Vikings and Sam Darnold struggling? I don't know. Matthew Stafford was awesome, though, and, again, they've gotten healthy offensively, so, I really think that you could talk me into them. Maybe they belong in the tier with the Eagles for the number 1 contender. You certainly could. But again, I try to not, I think sometimes we become prisoners of the moment and pay too much attention to what we just saw. Even I'm guilty of that at times. It was so good again in the wild card. I think they have a chance against the Eagles, but I think the Eagles, what they've done this season, deserve to be a tier ahead as of right now. But, who knows? Like I said, all these teams could go on a run. There are no bad teams left, but that's kind of where I'm at right now with these 8 teams. Let me know in the comments below. Where are you at? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.